about you just shut up for
Why don't
once?
you get out that chair and Matt?
Real,
Get the
bitch.
in.
You won't shut up!
They've spent years trapped inside bodies that feel like prisons. Every breath is a struggle, every step a battle. But behind the massive weight lies something far heavier, a past filled with loss, pain, and battles no one can see. These are the stories of people pushed to their breaking point, forced to choose between giving up or fighting for their very lives. Each journey is a lesson in resilience, willpower, and the human spirit's ability to overcome. And now, it's time to step into their fight for a second chance at life. Tammy Slayton has lived most of her life trapped inside a body that felt like a prison. At over 600 pounds, every breath was a battle, every step a victory. But it wasn't always this way. Growing up in a small town in Kentucky,
How about you just shut up for
Why
once?
don't you get out that chair and Matt?
Real,
Get
bitch.
the in.
Tammy faced loss early. Her father passed away when she was just a child, and her mother worked long hours to keep food on the table. Lonely nights and empty rooms were filled with one thing: food. What started as comfort slowly became her chains. By her teenage years, Tammy was already struggling to move. The bullying at school cut deep, driving her deeper into emotional eating. As an adult, her world shrank to the walls of her home. She relied on oxygen to breathe, and walking to the mailbox felt impossible. Doctors warned her, if you don't change now, you may not have much time left.
Y'all ain't here every day.
You're right, I'm not. Because I have a life of my own.
That was the moment Tammy decided to fight not just for weight loss, but for her life. The road has been anything but easy. There were relapses, tears, and moments of hopelessness. But there were also breakthroughs, pounds lost, breaths taken without oxygen, steps made without help. Tammy's story isn't just about losing weight. It's about proving that no matter how heavy the burden, the human spirit can rise above it. Jazz and Nisha didn't meet in some random way. They found each other in the SSBW community, a space for supersized women to connect. What started as online messages turned into real-life roommate status, and soon they were sharing more than just rent. They share chores, care for Nisha's autistic daughter Nana, and, above all else, they share a love for food. For them, a burger run isn't just a meal, it's therapy, a way to forget everything else for a while. But under the laughter and comfort food is a much heavier story. Since Jazz is bigger, Nisha handles most of the cooking and cleaning. And while Jazz struggles to leave the house, Nisha carries her own invisible weight, the trauma of growing up in a controlling religious cult. Every aspect of her childhood was dictated: when and what to eat, who she could speak to, even whether she could host friends. By the time she left at 22, she carried deep scars and a complicated relationship with her mother. Church, for her, wasn't salvation, it was a prison. So when Jazz invited her to Sunday dinner with family to share her weight loss journey, Nisha was torn. She wanted to support her best friend, but feared the religious atmosphere might reopen old wounds. At dinner, Nisha met Jazz's family warm smiles, open arms, and stories of camping trips and childhood memories. But then came the moment that made her heart pound. She was asked to say grace. For everyone else, it was tradition. For Nisha, it was a trigger, a reminder of everything she'd fought to leave behind. Amberlin Reed has lived most of her life under the shadow of her own body. Weighing over 500 pounds, she wakes up every day knowing that time isn't on her side. The physical strain is constant, her joints ache, her breathing feels heavy, and even the smallest movements leave her exhausted. But the weight she carries isn't just physical. Her story began in a childhood filled with instability. She was moved from place to place, often caught in the middle of adult problems she didn't understand. There were times she felt invisible, overlooked, unloved, and unsupported. In those moments, she turned to the one thing that never judged her: food. At first, eating brought comfort. It was a way to feel full when her life felt empty. But over the years, that comfort became a chain, an addiction she couldn't break. By her teenage years, she was already facing severe weight issues. By adulthood, her body had become her prison. The simplest parts of life became the hardest: standing in the shower, tying her shoes, walking a few steps without gasping for air. She found herself isolated from the world outside, watching life pass her by through a window. Doctors warned her again and again if she didn't make a drastic change, she wouldn't live long enough to see the life she dreamed of. The fear was real, but so was the shame. Every failed diet felt like another nail in the coffin, and every judgmental look from strangers made her retreat further into herself. But Amberlin decided to take back control in the most vulnerable way possible. By sharing her journey online, she began documenting everything: the victories, the setbacks, the emotional breakdowns. Millions of people would eventually watch her story unfold, and with it came both support and criticism. Some saw her as inspiring, others saw her as a cautionary tale. There were weeks she stuck to her plan, losing pounds and feeling hope again. There were other weeks where stress, emotional pain, and old habits pulled her back into binge eating. Every slip felt like starting over, but she refused to quit completely. For Amberlin, this battle isn't just about the number on the scale. It's about facing the trauma that built the foundation for her addiction. It's about proving to herself and to the world that she's capable of more than her past ever allowed her to believe. And while her journey is far from over, one thing is certain: the fight for her health is also the fight for her life. Sireita's life has been shaped by challenges most people can't imagine. From a young age, food became her escape, a way to comfort herself through pain, loss, and the feeling of never truly belonging. But over the years, that comfort turned into a trap. By the time she reached her 42nd, Sireita's weight had climbed to over 600 pounds. Her world became smaller with each passing day. Simple things like walking to the bathroom,
That's a good one. That's a good one. Pretty much, you know,
standing in the kitchen, or even getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain. Her independence slipped away, and with it, her confidence. Sireita's health was failing fast, her knees couldn't bear her weight, her breathing was shallow, and her doctors warned that her time was running out. The thought of leaving her loved ones behind pushed her to take a hard look at her life. That's when she made the decision to fight back. With the help of Dr. Nauzardin, she entered a weight loss program that would test her limits. The goal was clear: lose enough weight for surgery, then rebuild her life from the ground up. The journey was anything but easy. Physical therapy hurt, the strict diet was a shock to her system, there were tears, moments of doubt, and even days she wanted to give up. But Sireita had something she hadn't had before: hope. Every pound lost meant more than a number on the scale. It was a step toward freedom, a step toward the life she had been missing for years. Sireita's battle is far from over, but her story is proof that no matter how heavy the weight physically or emotionally, the human spirit can rise above it. For Roshanda, Brandy, and Clarence Perrio, life has always been heavy, not just in pounds, but in pain. At a combined weight of over a ton, the three siblings faced a truth most people never will. Without change, they wouldn't live to see the next decade. Dr. Nauzardin gave them a mission: lose the weight, earn the chance for surgery, and take their lives back. Brandy stepped up first, going through gastric sleeve surgery and proving she could fight. Clarence followed, shedding the pounds and reclaiming his mobility. But Roshanda, her battle was with more than just the scale. Depression, old habits, and the comfort of food kept pulling her back. Over a year, together they lost nearly 700 pounds, only to watch some of it creep back. Dr. Now's warning was clear: you're slipping, get back on track, or lose everything you've fought for. Roshanda fought her way back, dropping another 36 pounds, and finally earned her surgery. That day wasn't just an operation, it was a lifeline. They celebrated together, calling it their second birthday, a rebirth into the lives they almost lost. But the road is far from over. Brandy now dreams of skin removal surgery. Clarence is chasing his music career, traveling from Mississippi to Georgia. Roshanda is determined to reach her 300-pound loss and see the person she's always wanted to be in the mirror. What do you think is the biggest takeaway from today's video? Let's spread that message together.